Hello, friends, and thank you as always for visiting the Legend Sports Universe YouTube channel, Legend Sports Universe, where legends play forever. The Legend Sports Universe Boxing Federation returns with a three-bout card in the LSUBF Championship Tournament series to determine the initial champions of the LSUBF. We will open up tonight's card at welterweight, where Bazooka Quartey and Carlos Palomino will battle, a fight with the potential to be one of the best in the LSUBF Championship Tournament series. Palomino, 11-2, 9 knockouts, enters the tournament as the number 8 seed in a very deep welterweight class. His relentless pressure and body punching will prove to be a tough test for the top seed Ghana's Quartey, 15-1 with 13 knockouts, whose punishing jab will be key to keeping Palomino at bay in what should be a fantastic opening bout. From there, we will head on to the featherweight class, where Quartey's fellow Ghanan, number 4 ranked featherweight Azumah Nelson, comes in undefeated 11-0 with 8 knockouts, and he will battle the furious attack of Young Corbett II in a 4-5 matchup. Corbett, 14-1 with 8 knockouts. He will bring a swarming aggressive style into the ring against Nelson, a master technician known as the Professor, whose discipline and counterpunching will create an intriguing style contrast in a bout to see who gets to face number 1 seed Salvador Sanchez in the semifinal. And then in the main event, we head to the cruiserweight division, where Evander Holyfield, undefeated at 9-0 with 3 knockouts, battles the slick counterpuncher Ossie Ocasio in another 4-5 matchup. So Holyfield is widely considered the class of the cruiserweight ranks. Holyfield will set a strong pace for an upper weight class fighter, bringing a granite physique and a chin to match. But Ocasio will need to be at his counter-punching best to upset Holyfield and move on to the semifinal. So without further ado, from the Thomas and Mack Center, let's get underway as Quartey and Carlos Palomino get ready to take the ring. For the first time tonight, we will head behind the LSUBF fourth wall as we will take a look at what has happened to get to this point, how the fighters rate in title bout. Again, the core of this is all held in title bout, and then the top 10 matchups, title fights, 10 contender matchups, etc., are held here on the channel. But the bulk of the action takes place in title bout championship boxing, so we'll take a look as the rating system is devised from that. Both of these fighters are in the pre-prime stages of their career. Despite being at pre-prime, today is rated a 7. Palomino is rated an 8. Both of those very solid ratings for pre-prime. That means that at their prime, these guys are both going to rate at 10 plus, which is an exceptional rating in the title bout rating system. The 100 sim test bouts, this is about as even as it gets, folks. Palomino 46, Quartey 44, 10 draws in the 100 test fights. So this is a pick-em matchup here in this welterweight tournament. Then the seedings, we talked about Quartey being ranked first, Palomino being ranked 8th. At the moment, that's largely a function of just how many fights they've had. Some guys in the random draw, as they built up their records, fought a little bit better competition than others. Both of these guys, very, very good fighters. Quartey is not 7 fighters above Palomino in talent, and in a weight class that has Thomas Hitman Hearns and Sugar Ray Robinson, neither one of these guys would really be considered best in the class. You'll look, though, to see how these guys got here, and you can see their best wins so far. Carlos Palomino, the only fighter to defeat Thomas Hearns to this point, a 4th-round knockout of the Hitman. Then Hearns, of course, everybody knows Hearns can be tagged. His chin was considered a little bit susceptible against the right guy. Palomino caught him right. So Palomino has to be figuring, if he can get past this, if Hearns wins his matchup on the next card with young Jack Thompson, the two of them would meet in the semifinal. So Palomino has extra confidence going into the next round. Quartey's best victory to this point, a 10-round majority decision win over Errol Spence Jr. Again, for little quick bios that we do here, Four fighters, in case people aren't familiar with any of these guys. Quartey, a powerful Ghanan welterweight, known for his stiff jab, tight guard, and durability. He won the WBA welterweight title in 1994 by defeating Crisanto Espana, defended it 7 times. Quartey fought top names like Oscar de la Hoya and Fernando Vargas, earning respect for his toughness and technical skill during the welterweight division's competitive 90s era. So Carlos Palomino, he was a skilled pressure fighting welterweight with excellent body punching and stamina. He won the WBC welterweight title in 1976, stopping John H. Tracy in London, and successfully defended it 7 times. Known for his toughness and intelligence in the ring, Palomino fought elite opponents like Wilfred Benitez and Roberto Duran and became one of the division's most respected champions of the 1970s. So with that out of the way, without further ado, let's get up to ringside. Quartey and Carlos Palomino, the welterweight bracket of the Legend Sports Universe Boxing Federation Championship Tournament. Thank you for joining me here at ringside at the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Quartey, the number 1 seed in the welterweight bracket, 15-1, 13 knockouts. Carlos Palomino entered his 8th seed, 11-2, with 9 knockouts. Palomino will make his way to the ring first. He and his entourage coming down to ringside. For Palomino here, he is going to want to pressure Quartey. He's going to want to get inside that jab. This is really going to be a battle of who can control the distance. Palomino wants to get in tight. Quartey wants to keep him at bay. Whoever can control that is going to have a leg up in what is figured to be a very competitive bout. There you see Quartey heading down to the ring. He's been very, very good to this point. He hasn't fought the top competition. Palomino has had a few better fights. Most notably that win over Thomas Hearns, which is obviously a huge one for Palomino. Again, the only victory, or the only loss on Thomas Hearns' ledger. Quartey comes into this bout feeling confident, though. He knows that people think of Hearns and Sugar Ray Robinson as the class of this division, but he's out to prove himself that he belongs as the top seed and as a legitimate threat to the championship here in the welterweight division as we get ready to get underway. Fighters at ring center getting their final instructions before what should be a very entertaining bout. Carlos Palomino and Quartey ready to get underway. Opening bell, they meet right out at ring center. Palomino, the first one to fire. Immediately starts working the body, and he immediately eats a jab from Quartey. Fighters start out true to form in the opening 10 seconds. Palomino will be the one pressuring throughout this fight. Quartey, no wallflower by any means. He is going to try to control things with his jab. Palomino will try a good stiff jab there from Quartey. Palomino's going to try to drag Quartey into the deep end of the pool. Quartey does have a reputation for fading a little bit late in fights. Uppercut there from Palomino lands. Good shot there. Lands a nice shot to the body. Palomino heavily working the body here early on. Right hand there from Quartey. Left hook misses. There's the jab again. Good right hand from Palomino. That time he went upstairs. Quartey left himself open. Quartey can be put on the canvas. You can get him to engage in a slugfest. If you can bait him into that, you can kind of get caught off balance a little bit. Palomino has a decent enough jab of his own, not at Quartey's level, but solid one nonetheless. And there's another jab from Quartey. I'll tell you, he's already landed a couple of beauties in this opening round. Both fighters fighting true to form here in the opening stanza. Palomino seems to have his hands low a bit as he's kind of setting himself up for those body shots, and he's leaving himself open to eat that jab. He's going to have to defend against that jab better throughout the course of this bout. They're circling around the ring. Good short left there from Quartey. Final moments here of the opening round. So good start for both fighters. Nothing unexpected there in that opening round. Palomino again is going to try to work that body. That'll wear Quartey down, as our ringside friend Teddy Atlas frequently notes. Those body shots are just deposits in the bank. You hope you can cash out later in the fight. They landed a bunch of solid jabs there. He's going to have to use that jab to keep Palomino off of him throughout the bout. Quartey knows that as though he's the #1 seed entering the tournament, he is not considered the best welterweight in the division. Sugar Ray Robinson and Thomas Hearns kind of considered the 1-2 in a very deep welterweight class here from the get-go in the LSUBF. Winner of this bout will face the winner of Hearns and Young Jack Thompson. That bout will be held on our next card. As far as Quartey is concerned, look, I've done what they've asked me to do. I've beaten who they've put in front of me. 15-1, 13 knockouts. He has earned that #1 seat. Ray Robinson has only fought 10 times. Now 11 after he defeated Paul Williams in their first round matchup. Robinson will face Lloyd Hunnigan on the opposite half of the bracket. Hunnigan earning a hard-fought decision in a terrific bout against Carmen Basilio. Welterweight clashes have been good so far. Hunnigan-Basilio was an excellent fight. Dave Robinson and Paul Williams was an entertaining bout as well. Williams gave Robinson everything he could handle, so Robinson was able to stop him in round 9. Body shot there from Quartey, lands the jab to the body. See Quartey a little bit more in round 2 here, trying to do his own bit of body work. Palomino loads up on a right hand there, landed but not flush. Good stiff shot there from Quartey. And a good left hand from Quartey. That one rocked Palomino a bit. Building the hook off the jab. Fighters defending well in close there. Pace is slowed a little bit momentarily. Palomino trying to establish his own jab a little bit. It happens a lot if when you talk about one fighter having an extreme strength, you can sometimes kind of ignore that the other fighter is pretty good in that regard as well. Palomino has a very solid jab. Just not at Quartey's level, but a solid one nonetheless. Palomino does a good job staying outside the jab there, and then lands a right hand of his own after 3 straight jabs from Quartey. Fell a little bit short of the mark. So that'll wrap up round 2. Check on the corners there. Neither fighter particularly blemished at this point. One to watch out for is, Palomino. Swelling, cuts around the eyes. Quartey is really able to find a significant home for that jab throughout the course of the bout. Fighters receive their final instructions as we get ready for round number 3. After round 3, of course, we will check in with our ringside pro, Teddy Atlas, will give us his unofficial scorecard. Left hand there from Palomino. Quartey lands a shot to the body. Just to tie up Palomino a bit. Palomino pushes him off. There's trade jabs there. Good movement there by Quartey, keeping Palomino from being able to land. Jab to the body from Quartey. He wasn't doing that much in the opening round. You saw him do it a bit more in round 2. Palomino having more shots falling short right now. Fighting at a little more range than what he would ideally be doing. His jab having a significant impact on that. There's a good uppercut, though. He got inside on that one. Palomino's best shot here in round 3. Lots of movement by Quartey. Good shot to the body again. Quartey is fighting a very nice fight right now. Palomino started out, he was leaving himself open up high. Kind of holding his hands a little bit low, setting himself up for those body shots. And then he ate enough jabs up high that he started raising his hands. And now Quartey has been able to find a little bit more success going to the body himself, which is Palomino's trademark. To the final minute here of round number 3. That was a good right hand to the body from Quartey. And another shot to the body. Good round 3 here for Quartey. Palomino landed one uppercut. Other than that, he has not got much of significance in this round. Okay, dictating the pace a little bit better here in round number 3 as the bout goes on. Good round for Quartey. Palomino's corner. Chatting him up on the stool. I have Quartey up 2 rounds to 1, but again, my card means absolutely nothing. Ring card girls, which we will never see in a boxing game again. We won't go off on that. Because really, if pixelated women are driving you crazy that they're not going to be involved in the game, or that they are involved in the game, then probably have deeper issues. So Teddy Atlas scorecard, he has Palomino taking 2 of the first 3 rounds. Certainly close rounds. I felt like the 3rd round was a clear Quartey round, actually. I'm a bit surprised to see that Atlas had given Palomino that 3rd round. The first 2 certainly were toss-ups, in my opinion. There's focus on the body here in the opening 30 seconds. Now Quartey takes a winging right hand. He misses. He takes one to the body from Palomino. There's trade jabs there. neither fighter has been any kind of trouble to this point in the bout. Good, entertaining scrap so far, which is what we expected. Just tie up a little bit. Ref doesn't have to separate them. They get apart on their own. Good right hand from Ike Quartey. That one finds the mark. In the corner, Palomino has him trapped there a little bit. Still being a little bit disciplined in terms of whether he unloads or not. Surprised Palomino is not doing more work there, and Quartey catches him with the right hand. Palomino steps back. Quartey sticks home a jab. Wings the right hand that misses. Palomino backing off. Fires a jab home. Seems to have gotten his wits about him. Takes an uppercut there from Quartey, though, as well. You know, seems like he's regrouped. All right, but that shot from Quartey definitely stung him coming out of the corner. Palomino had Quartey trapped, and then he seemed like very hesitant. He didn't exactly know how to pursue him there. Don't expect Palomino to let an opportunity like that slip away from him again. Once he got Quartey back into that corner, I was expecting a heavy dose of body work from Palomino on the inside. Never really transpired. Final 20 seconds here of round number 4. Tie up briefly in the waning seconds. Good jab at the end of the round. So another good round, in my opinion, there for Ike Quartey. Ike Quartey, that would put him up 3 rounds to 1. And neither fighter showing much in the way of swelling to this point in the bout. Palomino is going to have to get himself in Quartey's kitchen a bit. Start getting himself in control of the pace of this fight. So right now, Ike is dictating things a bit. Comes right out, lands a body shot. Short chin. Palomino fires one of his own, misses with an uppercut. His corner reminding him between rounds to stay out of the corner. Himself in a spot where he can move around and Palomino can't isolate him and then do that damaging body work. Short little uppercut. Quartey lands, Palomino misses the mark. Straight right hand there from Palomino. He eats a left hand from Quartey, though. Lands a right hand of his own. Good left hand from Carlos Palomino. Exchanging a bit more with him here, and Palomino will happily engage in that. He backs away. Palomino again trying to get to the body. The winner of this bout will face the winner of Thomas Hearns and Young Jack Thompson. That bout will be held on our next card. The presumption, when the LSUBF tournament started here in welterweight, was that Thomas Hearns and Ray Robinson would be the men meeting for the championship. Robinson has already won. He has to get through Lloyd Hunnigan to get to the championship bout. Hunnigan put on an impressive performance against a very tough Carmen Basilio a couple of cards ago here on the channel. and I apologize that the LSUBF kind of went dormant for a month. Undisputed, as you know, when this project started out, it was a 3-pronged project. Title bout, classic Trunzo game, title bout championship boxing is the basis of the LSUBF. And then all these fights in the championship tournament, and any title fight down the line, obviously, and any fight that is between a pair of top 10 contenders will be done here on the channel. I've developed a rating system to convert title bout ratings into Fight Night Champion and Undisputed as well. And Undisputed was the next card up. I had been alternating. Then Undisputed was coming out with what was supposed to be their big patch. So round 5 comes to a close there. A little bit better work from Palomino in my eyes. But another fairly even round, so we'll see what the scorecards will have to say about that. We'll see what Teddy Atlas has to say with that in a couple of rounds when we check in with him after round 7. So I was kind of on hold doing the next card until the patch came out for Undisputed. And it fixed a lot of stuff from manually playing the game, but there's still just too many limitations as far as styles and being able to control how fighters fight. And one of the things that really happened, a big thing for me, is punch output. If you put Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray had those flurries and all that. But Leonard was a very measured fighter. He didn't waste a heck of a lot of energy. So if you have somebody like Sugar Ray Leonard who was really throwing 50 punches around, and you make Sugar Ray Leonard throw 90 punches around, he's no longer Ray Leonard. He's just some fighter model that looks like Ray Leonard. But he's not fighting like Ray Leonard, which makes him useless in my eyes. And you had no real way of controlling a fighter's activity, a fighter's proportion of how much he throws the jab and that kind of stuff. And what I'm really looking for in doing a project like this is making these guys fight representatively, and that just became something that it was clear in more cases than not with Undisputed was going to be really, really difficult to achieve. The other thing was that you could control, if you use Undisputed there were 4 classes. You could set difficulty levels at amateur, intermediate, pro, and Undisputed. And what I figured out the more I tested that in terms of simming was, as you moved up from setting the difficulty level at amateur to Undisputed level, fighters threw a lot more punches per round, which in one sense is fine, but if you had 2 fighters fighting each other who didn't have the same work rate, you had no way of doing that. So if you set it to Undisputed because one fighter throws 90 punches around, but the other fighter throws 50, if you set it to Undisputed, they were both going to throw 90 punches around. If you set it to amateur, they were both going to throw 50 punches around. And you had no real way of having one fighter fight one way and another fighter fight another way. And at that point, it just kind of became a situation where, despite improvements that they made, I was never going to be able to get Undisputed to do what I wanted this game to do and what I want this project to do. It's more about results and accuracy and fighters fighting properly and representatively than graphics. This game is outdated. Fight Night Champion is from 2013. So Undisputed looks better. But again, if you're playing somebody that's in this hobby, board games, stuff like that, text sims, like Title Bout, the online version of that, none of us are really concerned about graphics anyway. And I feel like the graphics here are good enough. You can see the action, you can see what's going on, you can make the fighters look fairly representative of themselves. It's not going to look as flashy as Undisputed, but it's going to fight more accurately and present more accurately what the fighters are and how they should fight. And that's always going to be the priority for me in any project that I do. So I will continue to monitor Undisputed and see if they make any other improvements, but I just don't think there's any way that they're going to get that game. Good uppercut there from Quartey. Apologies for getting away from calling the fight here, but I posted the announcement that I was dropping Undisputed from this project, but I figured I would talk about that a little bit here since this is the first card since I said I was doing that. So round 7 in what has been a good scrap as expected. This is a very interesting battle. If you go onto one of my favorite boxing sites to go onto is boxingforum247.com, and they do a lot of hypothetical bouts, and this is one of those where people are very split about a Palomino Quartey bout, and this has been an even fight to this point. I have Quartey ahead 4-2, but certainly it's been a pretty even contest. The rounds there can certainly go either way. Again, we'll hear from Teddy Atlas after round 7 is done. Palomino he's not been able to really put Quartey on his heels at all in this bout. Quartey has handled Palomino's aggression well. He's been able to keep him at bay with the jab. Palomino is going to need to find a way in over these last 3+ rounds. He's firing a lot right now, though, going up and down, trying to break his way through. Quartey defending himself well, however. Both these guys have plenty in the tank. And again, part of that is a function of the fact that Quartey has controlled the pace of it. Palomino's camp was hoping that Palomino would be able to pressure Quartey, make him throw a bit more than he wanted to, wear him down with the body, and take him into the deep end of the pool. But Quartey still looking fresh here in the final minute of round number 7. Right hand there from Palomino, goes for a big right hand. The loaded up one misses the mark. Quartey able to dodge. Neither fighter has really been shaken. Quartey rocked Palomino once in round, I believe that was round 2, coming out of the corner. Round 2 or 3. Fighters firing away there. That exchange, a lot of those punches missing the mark, though. Round 7 comes to a close, and you can see a little hop in his step. Quartey feels very good about how this fight is going right now. Again, Teddy Atlas, who we'll check in with in a moment, Atlas had Palomino up 2-1 through the first 3. I had it reversed. I've now got Quartey up 5-2. By no means dominating the bout, but I just feel like Quartey has done the better work. He's scored more. He's kind of in a bit more control of the pace of the fight. We'll check it out. According to Teddy Atlas, Quartey is up by a point. He's won the last 2 rounds on Teddy's card. Good fight here. Teddy is right. It's a 1-point fight. Through 7. Perhaps Teddy giving Palomino a bit more points for his aggression. I don't think his aggression has been as effective as he has hoped. We'll see what transpires over these final 3 rounds. He again just keeps pumping the jab. High and low, high and low. Palomino has not really been able to get into the grill. Good short little uppercut there from Palomino. Splits the gloves. Snaps Quartey's head back momentarily, but Ike keeps coming. Coming in, this fight was all going to be about how Quartey could control the distance with his jab. He's done that very well so far. Hand there from Palomino, a little short left there. Finds the mark, good uppercut from Palomino. Pair of good shots, good shot to the body. Palomino getting some work in here in the 8th. Good sequence there from Carlos Palomino. Big right hand from Quartey, misses. Good counter jab, lands from Palomino. Another good shot from Palomino, lands on the jab again. Quartey winging a little bit more out of control here, and Palomino is making him pay for it. Good straight right hand from Ike, lands on time. Good round so far here for Carlos Palomino as we get into the final minute. Another thudding body shot. This is with the uppercut, overhand right from Quartey lands. Jab from Ike lands solidly there. Good right hand from Palomino. Quartey leaving himself open this round, and Palomino is making him pay for it. Left hand from Quartey lands off the top of Palomino's head as he lowers himself to go to the body. Fighters engage on the inside. They clinch up a bit. Fight their way out of it. Final 10 seconds of round 8. So round 8 comes to a close. Good round there for Carlos Palomino. I'd put that one in his ledger. Teddy Atlas's scorecard is right. That would have us with an even bout entering round 9. I have Ike Quartey up 5 rounds to 3. Palomino's corner very happy with his work there. Him to keep that up. Quartey's corner. Telling him to get back. He kind of tried to open up a little bit more in round 8 there. Got a little bit off the plan. That's with the girl who brought you. Fighters are trading again here early in the 9th, and that's what Palomino wants. Good body shot from Quartey, though. Palomino takes a step back. Right hand from Ike lands after Palomino misses the uppercut. Regardless of who wins this bout, both of these fighters are going to be contenders going forward. After this tournament is done, they will be fighters to keep an eye on. And this is a deep welterweight division. And if you are just tuning into the LSUBF, first and most importantly, thank you for giving me some of your time. I greatly appreciate it. Being set up again for the LSUBF is like my other Franchise Stars team projects that I do here on the channel. It's kind of Franchise Stars with a twist. In those projects, like for baseball, for example, baseball is... Every franchise has a 100-player pool, 40 players chosen at random for year 1. The remaining 60 come in drafts throughout the life of the project. Obviously, not being a team sport, boxing is handled a little bit differently. A master pool features anybody who was a champion for one of the main organizations in a weight class. And then 25 of those guys were chosen at random for year 1, along with 50 kind of tomato cans, for lack of a better term, scrub fighters to help them build their records up before the initial championship tournament. The core is 25 champions in a weight class. The remaining champions, most weight classes have somewhere of the main weight classes, not the juniors, they have a few less, but the main weight classes have upwards of 75 guys, champions throughout their history. The remaining guys after the main 25 Again, those 25 are chosen at random, so it's not always the best guys. Like Muhammad Ali, for example, is not in the LSUBF as of yet. He will come in eventually, Joe Louis, etc. Remaining guys will come in a few at a time each year going forward. So this is designed to have aging, a career mode kind of setup to it. To kind of, so you have storylines built and stuff like that. "15 seconds left here in round 9. It's been an entertaining scrap. Palomino and Quartey. Again, the winner will face the winner of Thomas Hitman Hearns and Young Jack Thompson. They will fight on the next card here for the LSUBF. So 1 round left to see who does move on. Palomino has done a little bit better work over these last couple rounds, I think. Quartey got a bit more back on track of what he was doing early in the fight, though, in that 9th round. Now he's going to see if he can close this one out. Again, the Teddy Atlas scorecard had this an even fight. I had Quartey up by a round and through 7, but Palomino, I felt pretty clearly took round 8. Round 9, bit of a toss-up round. I think you probably could have gone Palomino there, which I would have Quartey up by 1, 5 rounds to 4. The Atlas's scorecard would have Palomino up a round, if he agreed with my assessment of round number 9. Uneventful first 30 seconds here in round 10. We'll see if these guys start to let it loose. And there we go. Both fighters land there. Palomino landed a good body shot. He got the best of that exchange. Lands an uppercut. Right hand from Quartey lands as well. Palomino seems to be trying to get a hold of Quartey and tie him up and keep him close. Quartey not letting him have it. Short right by Quartey. Slips through. Not flush, but it does find the mark. Palomino goes upstairs, downstairs. Maybe more economical this round. Good body shot there from Palomino. He sticks a jab home. Second jab misses the mark. Quartey able to dodge. Midway through round number 10. Entertaining fight to open things up here. On this 3-bout card, up next, we will head to the featherweight division. Azumah Nelson and Young Corbett II. Short uppercut there from Quartey. Finds the mark. Palomino ties him up. Quartey pushes him off. Right hand from Palomino. Lands but not flush. 50 seconds remaining in the bout. Okay, not getting baited into a slugfest here. I wonder if the judges kind of want to see in what is, I have to believe, a close fight on all cards. And the judges want to see Quartey do a little more here in this 10th round. Even though this is probably the smarter course of action in terms of effectiveness. He does land a good right hand there. Time ticking away. And that will close it out. So we will await the decision here. Quartey, Carlos Palomino. The scores are in. And the winner, moving on, Bazooka Quartey, moves on to the welterweight semifinal. Carlos Palomino, disappointed, frustrated with the call there. We'll see what the final cards end up as. 97, 93, 97, 93, 96, 94. In favor of Ike Quartey. I kind of think it's 97, 93 cards. A little bit wide. And I don't think that Quartey won 4 straight rounds there, 4 through 7. And the bottom card, really the only card that's not in lockstep there. Round 5. Other than that, the judges pretty much in agreement. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. They disagreed on round 1. They disagreed in round 3. Okay. I always prefer when there's at least a few rounds that aren't in lockstep. I kind of felt like that was another thing in Undisputed, where kind of every judge saw the fights exactly the same, and you want some differentiation. Especially, you don't necessarily need as many highway robberies as happen in real boxing. But you do want to see a little bit of discrepancy sometimes among the judges, especially in a close competitive fight like this. But Ike Quartey takes the unanimous decision over Carlos Palomino, and he will move on. Face the winner of Thomas Hearns and Young Jack Thompson. Quartey improves to 16-1. With 13 knockouts, Palomino falls to 11-3 with 9 knockouts. Palomino will be heard from again for sure. This night belongs to Ike Quartey, who moves on to the semifinals of the welterweight tournament. So that'll be a tough act to follow. That was a good bout, but we will head behind the LSUBF fourth wall for the second time tonight as we take a preview of our next bout. The featherweight division, Azumah Nelson and Young Corbett II. Both fighters enter in pre-prime status. There you see Nelson, a solid 7 rating at pre-prime. Again, Nelson will settle in as probably a 10, maybe even an 11 rated featherweight. Again, the professor, a very, very talented fighter. Corbett rates as a number 4 in the title bout rating system at this point. So Nelson, as expected, is a solid favorite here. There you see in the test bouts, Nelson 74 wins in the 100 test fights. So he would come in here as a pretty heavy favorite against Corbett in this bout. If Corbett is going to have any success here, he is going to have to overwhelm Nelson with volume. He is going to have to just swarm him and make him uncomfortable. Problem is, Nelson is very adaptable. He can fight pretty much whatever style you want to. He is a terrific counterpuncher, but he can stand in there and slug with bruising bodywork if so forced during the course of the bout. At this point, both of these fighters have had a couple of decent fights, but for the most part, they really haven't been tested too much as of yet. Nelson's best win, a 10-round unanimous decision win over Kuniaki Shibata. Shibata, of course, was dismantled by Salvador Sanchez in the first round of this tournament. The winner of this bout will face Sanchez in the semifinal. Corbett's best win to this point, a 10th round unanimous decision over the tough Manuel Medina. So both fighters have beaten good fighters, not really the top guys. Again, Shibata, the 8th seed, is at least in this tournament. Medina is not. So Nelson probably has the better win on his ledger to this point. Quick little bios on both of these fighters. Azumah Nelson, a dominant featherweight from Ghana, known for his sharp counterpunching, toughness, and ring IQ. He won the WBC featherweight title in 1984 by stopping Wilfredo Gomez, then became a 2-division world champion. Nelson defended the featherweight crown successfully multiple times, defeating elite contenders with a blend of pressure and precision, and is widely regarded as one of Africa's greatest boxers. As for Corbett, an aggressive, hard-punching featherweight who became world champion in 1901 by knocking out George Dixon. Known for his relentless style and inside fighting, he successfully defended the title multiple times during a dominant early 1900s run. Corbett's swarming offense and toughness made him one of the most feared featherweights of his era and a pioneer of modern pressure fighting. With that said, time to get back to ringside at the Thomas and Mack Center for Nelson and Corbett. We return here to the Thomas and Mack Center. Azumah Nelson and Young Corbett II ready to head down to the ring. Nelson 11-0, 8 knockouts. Corbett 14-1 with 8 knockouts. So Corbett has a little bit more experience, but Nelson not concerned about that as he holds the undefeated mark. Nelson will enter the ring first, hoping to follow the footsteps of his countryman, Quartey. Both men from Ghana. Quartey getting the victory earlier on. So Nelson will look to do the same here and set up a matchup with Salvador Sanchez. Again, those two fought in real life. That was kind of the coming out party for Nelson as Corbett makes his way to the ring. But the coming out party for Nelson in his career was that fight with Sanchez. He took Sanchez nearly to the distance, a late stoppage in a 15-rounder there. Nelson made his mark, though Sanchez got the victory. Fighters ready in their corners, about to go to center ring to get their final instructions. This should be an entertaining bout. Nelson, very technically sound, a very skilled counterpuncher. Young Corbett II is going to try to put a lot of pressure on Nelson here, try to make him wilt underneath it. That is going to be easier said than done. Nelson can kind of fight whatever style you need him to. He can slug it out with you. He's got the power to do so, the accuracy to do so. A tough, tenacious, very strong, all-around fighter. Corbett's going to try to take him off of his game. See how aggressive he gets early. First significant punch is a body shot landed by Azumah Nelson. Good left hand there by Corbett. Nelson's camp does not believe that Corbett can hurt him. Corbett not a heavy puncher. He's got the 8 knockouts in his 14 victories. A lot of that is just wearing guys down under volume and just repeated contact. But it's more kind of a time bomb ticking down as the fight goes on. Nelson lands a good uppercut there. I'd have one punch knockout power. Azumah Nelson, of course, has a terrific chin. So they're not overly worried about Corbett's pressure. Azumah just has to fight his fight. They think he'll be the more accurate fighter. They think if Corbett stays right there in front of Nelson, trying to slug it out with him, Nelson will be able to have his way with body work throughout the bout. Both fighters defend pretty well there. Corbett misses a right. Nelson does not miss with his right. Uppercut there, kind of a glancing blow. He got Corbett backing away on that one. Now Nelson has Corbett in the corner. Sticks a jab home, lands a good straight right hand, then a body shot. Good combination there from Nelson. Corbett gets himself out of the corner, realizes that is not where he wants to be with the professor. Body shot lands from Corbett. Fighters kind of fighting in a phone booth at the moment. Another good body shot from Nelson. Playing the form for Azumah at this point. Again, we were just talking about that. His people thinking that if Corbett's going to stand there in front of him and try to swarm him, Nelson's going to be able to pick him apart to the body all night long. Body shot from Corbett lands. Right hand from Nelson up top. Good jab there from Nelson. Right hand partially blocked by Corbett. Nelson firing off a bunch of uppercuts in close. That's not usually his big punch of choice. Corbett right there. He's utilizing it well. Now 10 seconds here of the opening round. A strong round for Azumah Nelson. Corbett lands a good body shot. And the round comes to a close. So Corbett putting the pressure on that he wanted to, but Nelson weathers it well. Winner of this contest again will face Salvador Sanchez. Sanchez was taking the distance by Kuniaki Shibata, but he won a dominant unanimous decision. Sanchez, of course, the #1 seed. On the other half of the bracket, Naseem Hamed put forth a terrific performance against Benny Bass to advance to the semifinal. He will face the winner of Antonio Gomez and Steve Cruz. Corbett firing jab, jab, jab away. Nelson blocks it. Body shot there from Nelson. Corbett trying to land those left hooks. Hasn't really been able to find a home for that punch as of yet. There's a left from Nelson. That one does land. Both fighters miss uppercuts. Good strong right hand there from Corbett. Little uppercut from Corbett. Splits the gloves. Not a heck of a lot of steam on that punch. Nelson has his arms kind of tucked into the side. He's covering his body well. Nelson is hittable. He is capable of defending himself fairly well. Just a good, technically sound, solid fighter. Azumah Nelson. Goes down to the body on Corbett, misses with an uppercut. Corbett lands a body shot. Good uppercut from Corbett. Nelson leaving himself a little more open. Of course, I try to say that he's capable of a little better defense than his reputation, and he goes and he gets himself tagged. Oh, good straight right hand from Corbett, and Nelson is staggered. Nelson back in the corner. Corbett caught him well. Nelson seems to be okay and have recovered from that one, but Corbett stuck him right on the button with a straight right hand. We'll see if that gets Nelson to perhaps get just a little more respect for Corbett's punching power. See if it makes Azumah change anything. He's been taking a few chances here in these first couple of rounds. Again, we said that the Nelson camp didn't think that Corbett could hurt him at all. That punch, we'll see if that makes Azumah fight a little bit less as a slugger here. He's carried home a couple of good body shots there, though, as the round comes to a close. So Corbett staggers Nelson, albeit briefly, midway through round 2. See if that changes the complexion of things from Azumah Nelson's corner. Corbett's corner happy with him there. They want to see more of that. Nelson's corner does not seem overly concerned. Just telling him to be careful, not to leave himself open. Nelson is the physically stronger fighter. He knows that. His camp knows it. So does Corbett's. Good uppercut there from Azumah. Another short left hand. And a straight right. Good start to round 3 for Azumah Nelson. Protecting well to the body. Lands a short uppercut there to Corbett. Good straight right hand from Corbett. His best punch of the round so far. It's about 40 seconds in. Corbett's certainly throwing more volume. Nelson certainly not waiting on it. Corbett's camp thinks they can get Nelson into a slugfest. Trying to burn his tank out a bit as the fight goes on. Corbett can throw 90 punches every round without much difficulty. Nelson back in the corner. Good right hand. Gets around the left guard there of Corbett. And an uppercut from Nelson. Nelson starting to shake Corbett a bit here in round 3. Landing with some solid power shots. Decent body shot there from Corbett. And again, trying to work the body. Final minute of round number 3. Right hand from Nelson and an uppercut from Nelson. He's starting to find some gaps that Corbett is leaving open. Short left from Corbett landed, but his follow-up punches fell short. Nelson digs a good right hand into the ribs. It's left hand there from Corbett up top. But Nelson certainly having the better of things here in round 3. So if we thought that Nelson was going to be a bit deterred by getting himself staggered in the second round from that straight Corbett right hand, Nelson making clear here in the third, that is not going to be the case. A very strong and aggressive round from Azumah Nelson here in round 3 as the bell sounds. Fighters retreat to their corners. Nelson's corner very happy with his performance there. Telling him, keep doing what you're doing. As our ring card girl parades around with her sign and some interesting camera work. You see Corbett in his corner. You see a little bit of swelling around that left eye. Nothing overly detrimental as of yet, but certainly worth keeping an eye on. Again, he faced some heavy shots from Nelson there. At ringside, Teddy Atlas has Azumah Nelson pitching a shutout to this point. Body work from Azumah. Uppercut from Nelson. Snaps Corbett's head back. Nelson is holding that guard a bit higher. He's got the elbows tucked in a bit to protect the body, but he just simply doesn't want to get tagged again. That one shot that stunned him back in round number 2. But he's coming right into Corbett's kitchen. Corbett doesn't have to look hard for Nelson here. Good left hand from Nelson, and Corbett is rattled. Nelson backs him up. Corbett covering. Fires off the jab to try to back Nelson off. Lands a right hand of his own, but Nelson certainly rocked Corbett there momentarily. Digs a good shot into the ribcage. Nice work from Azumah Nelson. Again here in round number 4. Body shot. Fills his back along the ropes. Doesn't seem to be in any rush to get out of there. Now he does. Turns it around. Now it's Corbett who's backed up. Nelson backs him along the ropes. Left hand from Nelson lands. Corbett tries to fire on the inside. Corbett keeps going for that uppercut. He's not finding a home with it. Oh, short one there from Nelson and another. Good job there from Azumah Nelson. He is finding holes in Corbett's defense. Corbett coming in very aggressively. And Azumah Nelson making him pay for the gaps he's leaving. Another uppercut from Nelson. Nelson not throwing a ton of those, but he seems to be finding the mark with that uppercut whenever he throws it. Corbett looks like trying to get a hold of Nelson there, tie him up a little bit. First attempt missed, then he does tie him up, and Nelson is able to shake him off. Corbett shot go off Nelson's gloves. Jab there, didn't get full extension on that as we get to the final minute here of round number 4. So the fighters will retreat to their corners again. There you can see that angle gives you a little bit of a better view. Got some redness, some puffiness around that left eye of young Corbett. Azumah Nelson, his corner largely unblemished. Nelson's corner has to be very happy with what they have seen from their man so far. Of 5 underway. Again, the fighters in close quarters. Coming in, that's what Corbett's camp said they wanted. They've gotten a little more than they bargained for. Nelson digs one in the ribcage. Corbett lands an uppercut. Uppercut there from Nelson. Every time Corbett seems to set up and kind of start off a little bit wide going for the body shot, Nelson bangs that uppercut home. A short right hand from Nelson and another chopping right hand. Shorter uppercut on the inside. Corbett puts a couple of shots off of Nelson's gloves. Nelson's defense seems to be improving as this fight goes on as well. Corbett glancing shot again. Another short left hand from Nelson. Just very technically precise. The fighter landing much at the moment. Both protecting well. Good body shot there from Nelson. Nelson doing a very good job of setting up bodies, going body and then going up top. That was a good body shot there from Corbett that found its way home. Right hand from Corbett finds the mark. Final 30 seconds of round 5. Corbett trying to do what he can here, but Nelson has been in good form here this evening. Corbett is just not landing enough meaningful punches. As round 5 comes to a close. So Corbett's corner will get back to work on that left eye, again trying to keep that swelling down. And it is not at a point yet where it's debilitating, but it is getting incrementally worse. As the fight continues, Nelson continues to look pretty much fresh as a daisy in his corner. We get ready for round 6. Uppercut right off the bat from Nelson. Bangs home a jab. Short right uppercut from Nelson finds the mark. Corbett has been unable to successfully protect against that punch. Great right hand from Nelson. Lands. Good uppercut there from Corbett. That was a good shot. His follow-up punches, both blocked by Nelson. Good right hand from Corbett. That's the punch he got Nelson with earlier, and he catches him again. Azumah Nelson backed against the ropes here. Covers, protects himself. Well, again, Nelson looks fine. He got tagged cleanly there, though, by Corbett. And a thudding right hand from Nelson. Nelson grabs hold a bit. Corbett's able to shake him off. Can Corbett build on that punch, though? Nelson seems none the worse for wear right now. He was stunned briefly. But he's not backing off. He's not keeping distance. He's fighting as he has throughout the night. Misses on the inside. Nelson misses a couple. Corbett lands a right hand. Again, trying to go downstairs. Nelson chopping left hand lands. Goes downstairs to the body. Short left. That got mostly gloves. Let's get to the final minute of round number 6. Glide along the ropes. Good right hand from Corbett. Nelson felt himself in the corner. Slides along the ropes to get out of the corner. The fighters find their way back to center ring. Final 10 seconds. Good uppercut there from Nelson. Locks home a jab. As the round comes to a close. Solid round there for young Corbett. Rattle Nelson's cage momentarily. Corner gets back to work. Prepare for round 7. We will hear from Teddy Atlas once again after this round, see where his scorecard stands. Remember, he had Azumah Nelson having swept the first 3 rounds of the bout. Nelson still showing no damage. On his determined face. The fighters meet out at center ring once again. Uppercut from Azumah. Stopping left hand. You've seen that combination throughout the night. Body shot from Nelson. Short little left from Corbett. Trying to dig into the body. Nelson is protecting himself well. Right hand. Corbett was at a decent distance. So that landed, but didn't land flush from Nelson. Fighters tie up a bit. Nelson sticks a good left to the body. Corbett continues to come forward, though. To his credit, he maintains being the aggressor. He's trying to bring stuff to Nelson. Nelson not backing away from it. The Corbett's camp thought Nelson would shy away from contact by any means. Azumah, again, he's very versatile. He'll stand in there and slug with you. He's just not going to throw the same volume of punches that Corbett does. Nelson will pretty much take whatever it is that you give him. Has been in control of this fight. I've only given Corbett 1 round to this point. Could have made a case for a second. Best case for Corbett at this point, I think he's down 2 points. My guess is he's down probably by 4, 5-1. Oh, and a good shot there from Nelson. Rattles Corbett. He staggers back. Nelson trying to pin him along the ropes. Work the body. Corbett covers up well. Nelson certainly shook him up there, though. Now Corbett trying to get to the final bell here of round number 7. Nelson sticks him again. Final 30 seconds of the round. Short left from Corbett lands. Nelson walks right through it, though. Seconds remaining in round number 7. And the round comes to a close. Corbett's corner getting back to work on his end, trying to keep that left eye from becoming an issue for him. Nelson getting his eye checked out a little bit. There's not really too much there. Perhaps a slight degree of slowing. His corner just trying to keep from getting worse. There you can see Corbett's left side of Corbett's face is eating a lot of punches throughout the course of this bout. So we'll check in with Teddy at ringside, and Atlas has Nelson pitching a shutout through 7. Nelson has fought a terrific fight. Again, I have Corbett winning a round. Still Azumah Nelson in control here as he looks to set up a semifinal contest with Salvador Sanchez, the number 1 seed. Of course, those two fought in real life as well in a very good bout. It was really the first big bout of Nelson's career. Sanchez was at his peak there. Actually, if I remember right, that was actually Sanchez's last fight before his fatal car accident. I may be misremembering that, but I believe that was the last Sanchez's last bout before he was killed in that accident. And it was kind of the coming out party for Nelson. Sanchez stopped him 14th or 15th round. People realized that Azumah Nelson was probably going to be around and prominent for a while. And he certainly was. Terrific fighter. I always enjoyed watching Nelson. Even though he got the benefit of one of the worst officiating robberies I've ever seen. His first bout of his... You can't really call it a trilogy because that third fight happened when they were both old men. But his first contest with Jeff Fenech. Jeff Fenech fought a virtually perfect fight. And they still didn't give Fenech the decision. That was just a brutal robbery, and Fenech was never really the same after that. That was supposed to be Fenech's kind of leap into the top echelon of fighters. A lot of people say he never really recovered from that decision. It was a draw, actually. It wasn't. They didn't give Nelson the win. It was a draw, but Fenech should have pretty clearly won that bout. If you want a good demonstration of good inside fighting. What it's supposed to look like. Watch that Nelson Fennec, the first Fennec Nelson fight. Final 10 seconds here of round number 8. Corbett had rattled Nelson earlier on in the round. I think that's a round for Corbett. Starting to see now Corbett has got a little bit of swelling going around that right eye as well. Not nearly as significant as the swelling around the left eye. Corbett's corner doing a pretty good job, though, keeping that from getting particularly debilitated. They've kind of stopped that left eye from progressing any worse. Nelson continues to look like he's been walking in the park. I'll be the first to tell you he hasn't been. Round 9 coming up, Nelson and Corbett. Coming up next, we head to cruiserweight, main event of the evening. Evander Holyfield, though he's the 4 seed, many think he is the top guy in that cruiserweight division. He will face slick counterpuncher Asi Ocasio. Reminder, all of these first round tournament bouts are scheduled for 10 rounds. The semifinal matchups will be scheduled for 12. And then the championship bouts will be scheduled for 15 rounds. So on these intro cards, I'm doing 3 bouts per card. And then when I think what I'll do is when we get to the semifinals, I'm just going to do the 2 semifinal matchups of each weight class per video. So I'll do, the 2 featherweight matchups in one video. I'll do the junior featherweight semifinals in another, the welterweight semifinals, etc., etc. And then the championship bouts will be standalones. And then after that, then we'll get back to doing 3 bout cards once we start kind of getting into a regular schedule where the whole pool is involved after the tournaments are over. Good uppercut there from Nelson, finds the mark. And in the final minute of round 9. To Corbett's credit, he has shaken Nelson a couple of times in this bout. We were not expecting that. He was never able to build on it when he did so, though. I think Nelson will be the first one to tell you he was a little bit surprised that Corbett was able to rattle the cage a little bit. Overhand right there from Corbett. Nelson weathers that one well, though. Comes back with his own shot. Nelson against the ropes. Final 10 seconds here of the 9th round. Nelson tries to work the body. You get the sense that Nelson is slowing down a little bit here. Most of that probably being that he feels pretty comfortable with where he is at in this fight. Again, Corbett can punch all night. High energy, high activity, swarming, aggressive fighter. You see here, kind of keeping that right eye looks largely clear. The left eye, still certainly Corbett wearing the scars of battle here against Nelson. But his corner, again, has done a really good job. Both fighters land good shots to open up round 10. Final round of this featherweight tournament championship bout. Well, not featherweight tournament championship, featherweight tournament. Nelson is ending up on the same side of the bracket as Sanchez. Again, it was just kind of the seedings were based on how much fighters had activity coming into the tournament. So, Nelson is a perfect 11-0. But, Antonio Gomez had fought a lot. So Antonio Gomez, who's the number 2 seed, he's 17-2. Even though people would consider Nelson and Naseem Hamed, who's the 3 seed, better fighters than Antonio Gomez. Naseem Hamed has defeated Benny Bass in a terrific performance by Hamed. Hamed will await the Gomez Cruz winner. Midway through round 10 here. Corbett trying to go high and low. Nelson, bit more reserved in this final round, just making sure he doesn't leave himself open to anything. He lands a good winging right hand there and a good body shot. Corbett goes to the body. Lands again. Nelson's corner reminding him not to leave himself open. Corbett got him with a short right hand there. Not full throttle there. Nelson lands a left hand in the body. Tries to follow it up with a right. Corbett gets out of the way. Nelson swinging a lot to the body in this final rounds. Corbett continues to pop shots off to the body of Nelson with varying success. But since Corbett likely needs a knockout here, there's a good short left from Corbett. Comes up top with a right hand. Time running short. Final 10 seconds of the bout. Nelson ties Corbett up briefly. Lets him go. Eats a left as he lands a body shot. Neither had a heck of a lot on it. And the bell sounds to end this featherweight contest. Gotta feel it's a pretty wide margin for Nelson. Corbett had his moments, but Nelson certainly controlled this bout. Official decision comes through, and it is Azumah Nelson. So good night for Ghana so far, as Knight Quartey and Azumah Nelson both advance to their respective semifinals, 98-92 on all cards. For Azumah Nelson, judges this time pretty much in lockstep. Corbett took rounds 8 and 9, but other than that, it was the Azumah Nelson show here. Nelson, you can see, landing a much higher percentage of his punches. Only one punch landed, separating them, even though Corbett threw a couple hundred more blows. And behind the LSUBF fourth wall for the final time this evening, before our main event, a cruiserweight contest, Evander, the real deal Holyfield, and Asi Ocasio, both fighters in the pre-prime stages of their career, as most fighters are at this point in the LSUBF. Holyfield with a very strong pre-prime rating of 8. He will end up over that 10 threshold that is really for your exceptional fighters. Ocasio will probably settle in somewhere around a 7 when he gets to his prime. A good, solid counterpuncher, defense-oriented, slick fighter. He's going to have to be at his best in that regard to deal with Holyfield. Holyfield, an overwhelming favorite, 89-6-5 in the 100 sim bouts heading into this one. So Evander certainly comes in here as the overwhelming odds maker's choice. in Vegas. Again, these two fought in real life. Holyfield scoring an 11th round technical knockout over Ocasio. At this point in their careers, the best fight for both fighters, the best win for both fighters, coming against the same man. Tough Panamanian Guillermo Jones, Holyfield stopping him in round 5, Ocasio stopping him in the 6th. As for our bios, not that Evander really needs a heck of a lot of an introduction for any boxing fan. But Holyfield, a relentless high-volume fighter who became the undisputed cruiserweight champion in 1988. He had first won the WBA title in 1986 by stopping Dwight Muhammad Qawi in a grueling 15-round war. That fight is on YouTube. If you have not seen that one yet, you should certainly check that out. Terrific fight. Qawi, an excellent fighter. He later unified the IBF and WBC belts. Known for his stamina, heart, and combination punching, Holyfield cleared out the cruiserweight division before moving up to make history at heavyweight. Ocasio was a slick defensive boxer from Puerto Rico who captured the WBA cruiserweight title in 1982 by defeating Robbie Williams. Originally a heavyweight contender, he moved down in weight, found success with his elusive movement and counterpunching. He defended the cruiserweight title 3 times and was known for his ring savvy and ability to frustrate more aggressive opponents with his defensive style. So, with that said, we're going to head up to ringside. Holyfield and Ocasio, the main event of the evening in the cruiserweight bracket of the LSUBF Championship Tournaments. So we will head to ringside for the final time of the evening here at the Thomas and Mack Center. 4th-ranked Evander Holyfield, 9-0 with 3 knockouts. 5th-ranked Ocasio, 13-2 with 2 knockouts. Knockout number for Holyfield being as low as it is a little bit surprising, honestly. He certainly has the power. Again, he more grinds you down than one-punch knockout power. Evander just keeps on coming. And that just tends to wear guys down to get late stoppages, TKOs, late knockouts. I would expect that knockout ratio for Holyfield to improve as his career goes on. Ocasio knows that Holyfield can hurt him. Holyfield does not believe Ocasio can hurt him. So that's going to be a very interesting situation here. Ocasio is going to have to keep his distance, but he might be able to get sucked into proving that he can do damage. We'll find out in a moment. Fighters prepared to get their final instructions here in the ring. Again, the winner of this bout takes on the winner of Tafu Kabuli, who right now is the number 1 seed, undefeated at 16-0-1, and Don Pablo Hernandez. Although most people think the only guy in the tournament who can really give Holyfield a challenge for the title is a man who's already advanced. The only cruiserweight bracket fight to happen as of yet is Vasily Girov, who's undefeated. Defeated Nate Miller, but Miller tested Girov. Girov only won that fight by a majority decision, and some people thought that Miller should have won that bout. Underway here, Holyfield and Ocasio. Ocasio is going to have to be at his counter-punching best here to have a shot, we think, here against Evander. He's ended a couple good shots, though, early, though. Sticks Holyfield to the body there. Evander will apply the pressure. Certainly the harder puncher. Big right hand there from Holyfield. His first punch of meaning here in the bout. Ocasio has landed a good body shot, but he eats an uppercut for his trouble. Jab there from Ocasio after Holyfield connected marginally with the left hand. Good uppercut from Ocasio. Ocasio has handled himself well here in this opening minute. A good start for the heavy underdog, Ocasio. Holyfield backs him against the ropes. I don't think Ocasio wants to be there against Evander. Stiff jab from Holyfield, good right hand. Evander lands a couple of good shots there. Goes downstairs to the body as well. Ocasio tries to tie him up. Holyfield not having it. Evander is chiseled out of granite. Couple of short right hands from Holyfield land. Holyfield firing with murderous intention. Ocasio not moving enough here. He's landed a couple of decent shots. Again, Evander is very hittable. Defense not his strong suit. He pretty much just comes right at you, stands in front of you, and says, I'm tougher than you are. Also does not think that Ocasio can hurt him. Probably right. Ocasio scored a few good shots early on in this round. Now he has spent way too much time standing in front of Evander. That is not going to bode for a long night for Ossie Ocasio. Final 30 seconds here of the opening round. Good body shot from Ocasio. He circles, gets on his horse a little bit more. Hey, he's got to keep a distance from Evander. Counterpunch, stick and move, get in, score, and get out. Pretty much the only path to victory, I think, there for Ocasio. So a good start for Ossie, but then felt like Holyfield started to take control of that round a bit. Probably go either way. I lean towards the underdog there because of the strong start. But at the same time, the way Ocasio fought that round is not going to be sustainable for him for 10 rounds against Evander. Already see a little bit of swelling for Ocasio right from the jump here. Round 2 ready to get underway. Evander swings a big uppercut early on. Ocasio lands one of his own. Neither of those landed flush. Ocasio backpedaling. Holyfield just keeps on coming at it. Good right hand. That one's good straight right hand there from Ocasio. Nice to go to the body. Evander blocks it, counters with a good strong left hand. Evander worked the body, swings up high. Trying to follow it up. With a big right hand from Evander. Advancing blow there as Ocasio turns away from it. Short right hand from Ocasio lands, but again, he's finding himself in that corner. That is not where he wants to be. Right hand gets around the glove from Evander. Right above the ear. Body shot from Ocasio. Tie Evander up. Evander just a much stronger fighter. Oh, goodness. Short right hand from Holyfield, and Ocasio goes down like a ton of bricks. Oh, a short right hand from Evander Holyfield, and Ocasio drops at his feet. Ref applying the count. Ocasio is up at 6. He is certainly dazed, and Evander's got plenty of time left here in round number 2. Ocasio gets up and he's firing. Trying to present as though he's not hurt, but that was a crushing short right hand from Evander Holyfield. Evander lands an uppercut there. Evander not going after him aggressively right now, at least not more so than usual. Ocasio seems to have shaken the cobwebs a little bit. Lands a short right as Holyfield comes in, but Evander lands a left hand and then sticks home a jab. Glancing, good stiff jab, and then follow left hand there from Evander. Fighters tie up briefly once again. As the bell sounds to end round number 2. So Holyfield drops Ocasio here in this second round. You can see already Ocasio kind of wearing the impact of Holyfield's punches on his face. Evander's corner just wants him to keep on doing what he's doing. And Evander's just going to come right at you. There's not a heck of a lot of surprise with what Evander Holyfield brings to the table. It's like fighting a hunk of granite that hits back. He can be hit. You can see the fighters exchanging here in the corner. Good exchange from both of them, but that is not what Ocasio wants to do here against Evander Holyfield. He is going to lose the slugfest, and he's going to lose it quickly if he lets too much of the bout go in that direction. Evander just much more heavy-handed than Ocasio. Stick the jab, trying to get to a distance, and again, he creates distance for a bit, but then Evander closes it, and Ocasio just kind of gets sucked into the slug. He's going to have to stay on his bicycle for an awful lot of this fight. So he is going to lose meaningful exchanges with Evander. These two did fight in real life back when Evander was in the cruiserweight division. Remember, Ocasio actually started his real-life career. He started as a heavyweight and then dropped down to cruiserweight, which is not the norm. And then he settled in the cruiserweight division for a while there. But when these two fought in real life, Evander stopped him with an 11th round technical knockout. Five seconds left here in round 3. Short left hand again from Evander. Right hand finds the mark. Ocasio eating an awful lot of blows from Evander. Up top. Evander landing straight rights and landing short lefts. The hooks more so than the jab. Goes for another one. Final 10 seconds of round 3, and Holyfield has him rocked again. Ocasio staggers back to the corner. Evander comes in firing away. Ocasio covering up. Evander trying to break him down. Ocasio possibly saved by the bell there, as Holyfield rattles his cage once more. So Holyfield giving a dominant performance to this point. We'll check in with Teddy Atlas and his ringside scorecard before we start round 4. Who could have possibly given Ocasio the opening round, but Evander puts him down in the second and controls things in the third. Teddy's scorecard, and Teddy gave Evander the first round as well, so Evander's got a 4-point advantage on the Atlas scorecard. Again, that's the unofficial scorecard, but we trust Teddy. Early in round 4, once again, Ocasio is ending up against the ropes. Ocasio's corner between rounds getting on him He is not moving enough. Trying to circle. But again, you'll see, and this is what has happened. Ocasio starts to circle and keep his distance, but the minute the Holyfield gets inside with him as he keeps on pursuing and lands anything, Ocasio tries to trade with him, and that is not going well. Once again, he finds himself against the ropes. Holyfield banging away, takes a shot to the body. Right hand up top. Ocasio protects the body there, sticks a jab, creates some distance, but once again, Holyfield closes it. Little uppercut inside from Ocasio. Little to no effect. Again, Holyfield simply does not believe that Ocasio can hurt him. Jab there from Ocasio lands. I pronounced his name 10 different ways during the course of this fight. I know it's Ocasio. Is the correct, let's see, Ocasio. We'll see if we can stick to that through the remainder of this fight, however it goes. Holyfield takes a few steps back. Perhaps trying to get Ocasio. See, man, that's just gonna burn me for the whole fight. Trying to get Ocasio to come in at him. Ocasio backs up. This is with an uppercut. Evander's body shot is blocked. A little bit of a slower pace here. Late in round 4. Evander just keeps firing away. Goes for a big right hand. Ocasio slips it. Good uppercut from Ocasio lands. Follows it up with a short right hand. A little sequence there from Ocasio late in the round. Doubt it was enough. Take the round from Evander. And working the corner, continuing. Ocasio's people trying to keep the damage around the eyes from getting worse. Evander being checked in the corner. Looks fine. I gotta see about doing that model. There's an Evander Holyfield model in Fight Night Champion, but it's the heavyweight bald version of Evander that so many people know at this point. But at cruiserweight, I wanted him to look more like the cruiserweight version. But he kind of looks a little bit more like Meldrick Taylor here. His face shape isn't the head template. It's not. You can only customize the faces, like the face shapes in this game, if you scan. If you scan a photo of a fighter into the game, it then gives you like advanced sliders that you can use to tweak that. Otherwise, you pick from these template heads. And there's a problem with scanning where if you scan a black fighter, the face still comes out white. So the body comes out black. It senses that he's black, but the face ends up very, very pale, and it just creates this really awkward kind of contrast look. It looks terrible, frankly. So I could scan Evander's face and get the shape right, but his face would look more like it kind of belonged like a white guy's face pasted onto a black guy, which looks kind of ridiculous. So, unfortunately, for most black fighters, for a paler black fighter, like a light-skinned, African-American guy, I could probably do a scan and make it work. For someone who's a bit darker, it would look terrible. So you'll see from an appearance standpoint, white fighters in this project will tend to look a little bit more like themselves. than the black fighters do. Not terrible, but not with the same level of accuracy, unfortunately. And it left here in round number 5. Good straight right hand from Ocasio. Lands the left hand over the top. Good body shot there from Evander, though. Good left hand right under the ribcage. Ocasio backs up. Again, stays on his bike, tries to get a couple of shots, backs off. That's the way Ocasio is going to have to fight this. Although now he's built up such a deficit. He's kind of pinned himself into a corner, figuratively, as far as this bout goes. Good right hand there from Ocasio, though. And Evander staying right in his kitchen as the round comes to a close. Kind of seemed a little bit like a takeoff round there for Evander. He landed a couple of shots, but did not seem to have his usual aggressiveness and output that he had over the first 4 rounds. Ocasio didn't do much with that. Could have given Ocasio that round. And they're still trying to tend to keep that swelling down as round 6 gets underway. Card should be about a week from now. That's going to be a good card. We're going to have some fun with the next one here on the channel. That will be headlined by Thomas Hitman Hearns as we finish off the last bout of the welterweight bracket. It's the last bout of the welterweight bracket, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, that would be the last one. So our winner tonight, Quartey, who defeated Carlos Palomino in a terrific bout. Ike will face the winner of Thomas Hearns and Young Jack Thompson. That would fill out the welterweight bracket. Floyd Huntington will face Sugar Ray Robinson on the other side. That card will also take us to junior welterweight, where the number 1 seed, Wilfred Benitez, will take on 8th seed, very skilled, Barney Ross. Some people think Ross is rated a little bit low in that junior welterweight bracket, although that junior welterweight division is pretty loaded as well. But Benitez and Ross should be a heck of a bout. Opening bout on that card will take us to the super middleweight division, where the number 1 seed, Caleb Plant, 15-1 with 6 knockouts, will take on Saki Obika. Only one super middleweight bracket bout has taken place so far, as Chris Eubank earned a hard-fought decision over Gilberto Sanchez. Final minute here of round number 6. What has been a very strong performance from Evander Holyfield. He put Ocasio down in the second round. He probably would have put him down had time not run out in the third, as he staggered him into the corner late in that round. Ocasio just has not really fought his style of fight here. He started to get a little bit more into that as the fight has gone on, but as we mentioned in the last round, after digging himself such a hole, he doesn't have the same luxury of staying at a distance and trying to pot shot his way through this bout. So that will close out round 6. Fighters return to the corners. Ocasio's corner gets back to work, trying to keep that swelling down. Pretty pronounced at this point. Not nearing stoppage level by any means, but enough to be a little bit debilitating. Evander looking pretty much fresh as a daisy at this point. Open up round number 7. Fighters meet at ring center. Holyfield fires off a few quick jabs in succession. Ocasio back against the ropes. Lands an overhand left. Lands a pair of right hands. Neither one of those right hands landed particularly flushly. The left landed well, though. Ringing right hand blocked by Evander. Good short uppercut there from Holyfield, and Ocasio backs away from it. Goes for an uppercut of his own. Evander slips it. Body shot from Evander. Good job there by Ocasio avoiding the sequence from Holyfield. He doesn't fire anything off in response to it. And it gone here in round 7. Good body shot from Evander. Good right hand over the top, and Holyfield kind of walked into that one. Ocasio lands a good shot. Now he tries to pursue Evander. Evander backing off, covering up. Now he comes back firing. That shot hurt Evander, though. Overhand right from Ocasio, the first time that Evander has looked remotely stunned during the course of this bout. Evander right back to applying the pursuit. Good left from Evander. Jab right on the buttons. Right down the pipe, splits the gloves. Short right. Also with a left. Tries to grab Ocasio to keep him close, not wanting him to back away there. Another jab lands from Evander. Holyfield, not a particularly solid defensive fighter, but a lot of Ocasio's punches seem to be hitting the arms. Great right hand from Holyfield. Ocasio backs up. Final 20 seconds here of round number 7. We'll check in with Teddy Atlas one more time after this round. See where Teddy's scorecard is. I think it is safe to say that Evander has a wide lead at this stage of the fight. Round 7 comes to a close. We're getting a little bit of work, just a little bit of a blemish now, finally on Holyfield after 7 rounds. Ocasio's corner has kind of been able to keep that eye from getting much worse at this point. Kind of similar to what we saw with Young Corbett in his fight against Azumah Nelson earlier on. Swelling got pretty bad, but the corner was able to keep it from getting worse after a certain point. So we'll check in with Teddy, who's got Evander pitching a shutout here through 7. He's got the bonus point, of course, for the second round knockdown. 70-62 for Evander on the Teddy Atlas unofficial ringside scorecard. Starting to have a little bit of a feel. Like at this point, Ocasio just wants to get through 10 rounds here. Well, he did stand in there and try to exchange there. Again, Casio kind of fought this fight a little bit backwards. Kind of wanted to stand in there and trade with Evander early on. And then started keeping his distance, at which point he was behind. Casio would have been better served to kind of stick and move for a while and then trade, if needed, late in the bout. Left hand from Evander. Finds a home again. Good uppercut there from Casio. Evander takes a couple of steps back. But he's coming forward once more. Straight right from Evander is countered by a straight right from Casio. Perhaps Casio heard what I was saying and found himself a bit upset. Evander continues to be the stalker. That's the way pretty much any Holyfield fight is going to go. Stand and trade because I'll beat you. Fighter like Vasily Jirov, who brings a little bit more thump than Casio does. They fight a little more of an intelligent bout against Evander. That could be a good matchup. Holyfield is the presumptive favorite in this cruiserweight class. Two solid fighters. Balbuli is a good fighter. Leroy Murphy is solid. Steve Cunningham's all solid fighters. It just kind of feels like Evander probably a tier above all those guys. Jirov is the only one with a career that remotely would measure up to Evander, strictly speaking as a cruiserweight, of course. Fighters exchange there. Holyfield lands 4 successive shots. They go to war at the end of round number 8. Casio got a couple of shots in there, but still. Evander kept on firing. His shots had more pop on them. Casio just has a very steep hill to climb. Not sure there are the right tools in Casio's bag to get that job done here. Evander's corner would love to see him finish Casio here. Again, he put Casio down in round 2. And he had him on the verge of going down again at the end of round number 3. Casio hasn't really been in trouble since then. He has eaten a heck of a lot of blows from Evander Holyfield. Gab finds a way home. Lancing uppercut lands from Casio. The second one misses. And we're trying to dig into the body, set up the uppercut. Fires home a jab as well. Casio trying to get inside now. A little bit late for that. Margin enough at this point that even if Casio were to win the last 2 rounds, he would still fall short unless there are some very surprising scorecards on those judges' tables. Has had a very, very high work rate in this bout. He might be slowing down a bit. And he doesn't need the knockout. The knockout would strictly be for ego. Win is a win. Take the win and move on. Fighters tie up there. I do wish the animation had them hold that clinch a little bit longer. It's better than Undisputed, which has no clinching at all. It had clinching at the start, and the clinching was totally bugged out, so they took clinching out of the game, and that was more than a year ago. And they've never worked on fixing it. So I don't know how you have a boxing game without clinching. Clinching is such a tool in boxing. It's again, Undisputed is frustrating, man, because the framework is there. Just kind of they lost their way a little bit. Again, not many people use these games, sports games as a whole, are as focused on CPU versus CPU as I am. So I get that. So I try not to criticize companies for not making a game that suits my needs, because the way I use it is the minority. So I do try to keep that in mind when I evaluate these things. But AI is AI, and AI, if you're playing against a computer thing, is still, it still matters. Having a fighter fight properly and accurately still matters. If you're playing single player, just like it does in CPU versus CPU. So it's still something that there should be a focus on getting right, and they just did not put a heck of a lot of effort into that. That's a shame. It's more than, as I say frequently, and I love good graphics. I mean, I go back to the days where graphics weren't really a thing in these games. But at the end of the day, Holyfield gets rocked there. Ocasio caught him with an uppercut. Evander stumbles back into the ropes. Ocasio here in round 10, trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Evander, though, seems to have weathered it. A little bit surprised, though, Ocasio backed off there. He can't afford that. He had to take his chances there and start firing and just hope that a follow-up shot landed. Yeah, but again, like in the context of boxing, talk about the graphics and like models. Fighter models don't make fighters. Fighting makes fighters. A fighter is made by them fighting the style they're supposed to with the abilities they're supposed to, not just a matter of, hey, he looks like the guy. When you have games that do it well and don't out that they do it well, and Evander tired. Evander is definitely tired. Ocasio has rocked him again for a second time here in round number 10. Evander grabs hold of him to stop the barrage quickly there, but Evander is still the one backing up for the first time in this fight in round 10. Ocasio trying to pull off a stunning upset here. He has rocked Evander Holyfield twice in this final round. We're in the final minute of round number 10. Evander is back to being the one stalking them. Evander only knows one way to fight. At this point, Evander should just be getting to the final bell. Forget the thought of the knockout. Again, that's not Holyfield's MO. Especially now that he's been rocked. He's going to stand in there and fight. Take the victory. Left and right, both of those land. Neither of them landed flush. Final 30 seconds here of the 10th. So Ocasio stuns Holyfield twice in round number 10. Evander seems all right now. You saw Evander kind of seemed like he was moving a little bit sluggishly over the past couple rounds of this fight. He put up a good work rate throughout this fight. Lands a good short left there on Ocasio. Fighters exchange fully against the ropes to bring it to a close. So a couple of anxious moments for the Holyfield corner there in round number 10. But we do get to the bell, and you've got to think that Evander is going to walk out of here with the clear decision. And he does. Casio can't really complain about that. He knows. He just got in there against a better buzzsaw of a fighter in Evander Holyfield. I don't know how the judges give Evander Holyfield round 10 there. That is a 189 perfect scorecard for Evander Holyfield on all three judges' scorecards. There is no way that Evander Holyfield won round number 10. I suppose it's kind of a moot point, but it's also lazy judging. It's kind of like they had that round earmarked for Holyfield before that round was ever fought. Ocasio cleared him not once but twice. But certainly not the worst judging we've ever seen in boxing. But Evander, with the clear, dominant, unanimous decision, will move on to the cruiserweight semifinal. As always, I greatly appreciate you tuning in to join me here. Glad to be back doing boxing on the channel. Our next card, targeting Wednesday night, May 14th, as the LSUBF Championship Tournaments continue. I'm going to be away for the weekend, starting from tomorrow morning until Sunday night for my son's college graduation. So I won't get to do any fights until the beginning of next week, and these broadcasts take a little bit of editing after the fact and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to get one done for Wednesday, but it may be pushed back a day or so. So keep an eye out for things there. But it's going to be a card well worth the wait. We will open up at super middleweight. Caleb Plant, the number one ranked fighter at the super middleweight division at the moment, will take on Saki Obika in the opening bout of that card. Then what really could be classified as a double main event. Junior welterweight, number one seed Wilfred Benitez, 19-1 with 17 knockouts. The presumptive favorite at junior welterweight will take on the very tough and challenging, shifty Barney Ross. Ross, 12-1 with 5 knockouts. And then we head up to welterweight, where Thomas Hitman Hearns, 13-1 with 12 knockouts. Currently the number 4 seed, but he is thought of as the number 1 or number 2 guy in that class, along with Sugar Ray Robinson. He will face young Jack Thompson. Thompson 14-1 with 6 knockouts. I hope you will join me for that card. I look forward to seeing you then. Bang the like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. Most importantly, be good to each other, and we'll talk soon. Have a good night, everybody.